The theme of thinking about the world as one world requires people to change their outlook about many things. Each of us comes with a baggage of traditions, experiences, learning, and it has largely been local, regional, and for very few it has really been international. And yet, the speed with which the world is changing, technology is linking us. We hold a mobile phone and call someone from Egypt to Australia, and we find the right person wherever they are in whatever city. And we don't even think twice about the miracle of technology that is behind us, that new connectivity that exists, and young people all over the world are beginning to take it for granted. Young people are better informed. They see more news on television than their parents ever did. And as a result, there is a much greater awareness that what happens in one end of the planet concerns me and my society as much as the others. These are the seeds for creating a new global civilization. But we're not there yet. There is no sufficient agreement on the commonalities of values that will structure the institutional and legal constructs that will transform that global awareness into an international global civilization. We've started, but we're not there. We could say that the start of this new global civilization was embedded in the aftermath of World War II, the establishment of the Bretton Woods institutions to govern economics, finance, and trade, to the establishment of the United Nations, a Security Council on one side and an Economic and Social Council on the other, International Court of Justice and the General Assembly, and later on, very few years later, 1948, the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. These are indeed the beginnings of the new social order, the new world order, which we know did not immediately be implemented, But partly it was flawed in the sense that at the time, many of the countries of the world were still colonies, were not represented. India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all of these countries were still part of the British Empire. Africa, all of the countries of Africa, almost all of them, were not members of that founding General Assembly. Today, we recognize the multiplicity of cultures, backgrounds, experiences that make up this amazing mosaic which we call humanity. And the need to embrace that diversity of cultures as well as the biological diversity of nature for our continued existence. And our recognition that this new global civilization that we want to build has to be based on an architecture of principles, but that is broad enough to allow the multiplicity of cultural expressions that enriches us all. Just think for a moment about the nicest bird song that you know, but then think how terrible it would be if the only song of all the birds of the world was just that one song. We are enriched by multiplicity, we are enriched by diversity of expression, but we should hew to the same values and principles of liberty, equality, respect for the dignity of others, the rule of law, the manifestation not just of the will of the majority, but the protection of the minority, and so many of the values that have now become enshrined in documents from the United Nations and others that make this emerging architecture of a new global civilization driven by science and technology on one hand, recognition of our common humanity on the other, and at the same time, a clear awareness that we must change our attitude towards the environment and ecosystem of our planet and become real stewards of the earth if we are to function as humanity in a form of sustainable development.